Hello. One second, just testing if our audio is okay. Hmm. Hi. So, hello guys. Happy New Year. One thing I want to show you is to make a floppy center that would really up the look of your paper flowers. However, there are crafters that feel intimidated and even discouraged of not making one because they feel like they can't because they don't have a machine. Well, that's wrong. Thank you so much for all those who join our live video right now. Happy New Year's to you guys. Uh, nice that you joined me with this live. So again, I just wanted to emphasize that you don't really have to have all these fancy machines, although it will help. It refines the details of your floppy center, but at the same time, uh, you can absolutely create one regardless if you have a machine or not. So in this video, I'm gonna show you how. Like I have elements here that are pre-cut with my cutting machine. I am a Cricut girl, so I also have some paper here that I ready using alternative on these elements that you can create even when you don't have a cutting machine. So let's start. Hi Charmaine, thank you for joining. So the first thing that I have here, so is this thing. You can find this. Actually, this is a new template, but you can find a similar one on the old floppy center components that I have on my Etsy. So you can get this. So first thing, I lay this out all four in one 8.5 by 11 cardstock. So these are all cut in one sheet of paper. So as you can see. So first thing we need to do is to align all these four together. This is our first layer of this floppy center. And after we make this, I'm gonna show you an alternative on how you are going to make one, you know, without a cutting machine. Then you're going to curl this one inward. So how's your new year, guys, so far? Actually, everybody, I know that everyone was really struggling for the past year. So hopefully this year will be more forgiving and much better than the previous one. So I know everyone is struggling. I was too. But the thing is, I'm really thankful that, you know, with the business that I have, I really don't have to go out and look for work and all. So thank you guys for being a loyal customer and followers. So it really made me survive and floating during this pandemic. So first things first, with this curl inward, we're going to glue this one together, creating this dome here. So super easy. All you need to do is continue rolling this way until you finish all four pieces together. So this will absolutely give you a nicer finish to your paper flowers. Although you can absolutely create a paper flower even not as fancy as this one. So again, this one is cut by my machine. Hi Charmaine. I want to learn Giant Paper Flower 2021. Oh, you're at the right channel. So here you will really learn the basic, not just, I'm not just showing you how to make the templates that I'm selling on my website or my Etsy, but at the same time, I'm really up for giving ideas on to find alternatives for those who don't really have the luxury on getting the machine. So this is one of the videos that I'm giving a free virtual workshop on how you can make your paper flower get a better look with a floppy center that most of the people get intimidated to do, thinking that they need a cutting machine for it. No, you don't. All you need to do is just be creative. So this is the first layer. So to be completely honest, even just this one, you can already use it to put as a center to your paper flowers. But I'm gonna make more layers to really make it more fluffy and more interesting. So again, this is the first layer, and this one is made and cut by my Cricut machine. So I'm gonna show you how you can make an alternative when you don't have a machine. So again, this I made this using one sheet of 8.5 by 11 inches cardstock. So I'm gonna use the same thing, and I'm gonna divide it I'm gonna divide it in 4, because that's what I did. You can cut it however you want as long as it is equal. So here's a trick I do. Although I know that you know, this is an 8.5, so basically if you can just go and get to 425, you are at the right spot. But you know, I just love using the edge of it, making it sure that I really get the center of it, just the half of it, every element. Put it together. You can cut it with scissors however you want. I'm just lucky I have this paper cutter. But this is not like necessary to create or cut this way. So let's set this cutter aside. So first things first, because we are going to do this manually, I wanna make sure that we have a line that, you know, we can see in order for us to really not to have a uniform cut of slit. That's what I meant. So very light with a pencil. Then whatever scissors you have available. So I really like this titanium blade. You can go to my website and check out what kind of scissors I'm using. So all 4 pieces, I cut it together, making it more efficient and quicker. So I'm sorry if this will take a little while. This is a live video. We really cannot rush the process. If you have any questions, you know, you can shoot it in the comment section below. I'll try to answer that as honest as possible. So because I cut 4 pieces at a time, sometimes when your scissor blade isn't that sharp at all, there's a tendency that it would position weirdly, so you really have to make sure that you are untangled it, you know, once in a while. You see, it's curling, so what I do is just untangle it, making it sure that it's still aligned, you know, when it gets to the end. Start all over again. Again, it doesn't really need to be perfect. All you really need to do is to have, you know, a straight slit. Its depth should be equal. That's what makes the difference. But the slit itself, it doesn't really matter if it even in exact the same size, but you know, you would opt to make as equal slit as possible. Doesn't mean that it's okay not to be perfect. You'll be okay also to have 1 inch and the other one are 2 inches. No, it's not. You really have to do your best also to make it as uniform as possible. So again, this is an alternative if you don't have a cutting machine and you feel intimidated, you know, you will back out from wanting from making paper flowers because you thought that you really need to have a cutting machine to do something pretty. I started my business without a cutting machine, so I can feel the frustration of some, especially the beginners, thinking that, you know, oh, my product, no one would really notice because I don't have a machine. I did not get a machine until 3 months of my operation. So even after I got the machine, after I acquired a machine, mostly of my petals, when I have large project, I do it hand cut because I felt like it's way much faster than cutting 1 piece of paper at a time. So, you know, with hand cut, I can just trace 1 piece of paper and I can even put 2 empty ones at the back and just cut 4 pieces, 3 to 4 pieces at a time. So this is our first element without cutting machine. I know it's not as clean as the machine cut is, but that's okay. The goal is to get and make a floppy center even without the fancy machine. So next thing we do, same thing as what we did earlier, we're going to curl this thing inward. All 4 pieces. If you don't have patience like me, really don't have the patience to do it one at a time. So I try to, it's not rushing, but I try to make it as efficient, but at the same time making it sure that the quality is the same. What is the weight of the paper and what's the largest flower you have made? Well, the size of the flower actually would depend on the size of paper you use. So normally I use the 65 or up to 80 pounds of cardstock. So that's the safe weight of cardstock that you can use to make paper flowers to hold its shape. That's the 65 to 80 pounds cardstock. Those are the weight that I use when I'm making the larger paper flowers. Like, one second. This one or this. So this is a 16 inches flower and this one is a 9 inches rose. So it's safe to use the 65 to 80 pounds cardstock to hold its shape. However, if you are making tiny flowers like this one, if you can see, it's really small. I would suggest to use a 24 pound weight of colored paper, so not a cardstock, because like molding the paper in this size, you would really have difficulty molding it this way, and again gluing it. When it's thick, there's a huge tendency that it would even come off even after you glue it with your hot glue. So I suggest to use the thinner colored paper. Hi Monica, thank you so much. So going back to our floppy center, the same way we're going to do with the first element of the machine cut thing that we did earlier. We're just gonna roll this until we finish all four. Hi DIY Craft, thank you. So again, if you have any questions, even not related to this floppy center, I'll be happy to answer it for you guys. That's my way of saying thank you for being a part of our Crafty Sagittarius community. So, you know, I've read a quote before that if you really wanted to get what you want, you need to help people get what they want. So I'm not just here to sell my product, but at the same time, I'm here to help you guys really get it to where it can be a sustainable business also for you. So last piece of our first layer. So this one is hand cut and the other one is machine cut. I mean, this looks, the details are more clean and finer, but this one doesn't look so bad as well. So, you know, you really can't say, oh, I cannot make that paper flower because I don't have a machine. Because there's, if you really wanted something, there's always an alternative But if you don't really want something that much, you could always find excuses. So as you can see, for me, there's just a slight difference between the two. I mean, this one looks cleaner, but this one looks made by human. So it's really not that bad. So let's move on to our second layer, the second elements. So actually I made this one on Cricut myself. All I did was make a rectangular shape and then added strips of lines into it. But at the same time, if you don't have that patience to do it yourself, there's something that you can get from my Etsy, like floppy center components. At the same time, you can get it from Cricut. I think it's Marigold, if I'm not mistaken. So if you want to get the same kind of effect and elements to cut in your machine, it's there. And at the same time, you can get it from my shop, you can get it from my Etsy, from my Shopify, or from my website. So, but this one, again, I just made it myself. I made a rectangular shape and then added different multiple lines in it and attach it together and then cut it. Excuse me. So now the first thing we are going to do is add this one to our first layer. So if you can see this line in here, we're going to make a fold that the edge of this upper part would be in this line. So careful, because we don't want to damage, or we don't want to damage our floppy center. So that's our first element. We're gonna do the same thing with our second piece, the same way. Hi Charmaine, since you are a newbie, would you be able to benefit your business kit? I believe so. Especially now that I adjusted the price to a much lower. It was 149 before, but now it's only $99. It's made of multiple paper flower templates that you can readily use. It's in SVG. If you have a cutting machine, it's also in PDF. So in case, you as you said, you are just a beginner, so I would assume that you don't have a machine yet. So it has multiple around, I believe, around 12 to 15 paper flower templates, the large ones. And also it has the tiny flowers, also different components of floppy center like this. Once the time that you will able to acquire a machine, you can still use it, because it, as I said, it has SVG and a PDF on it. It has a module on how to assemble giant paper flower wall. I have a video there, like I show you how to make a stable paper flower wall that you can use for events, and also where you can purchase the materials, which is crucial. And I have a PDF sheets also there talking about the business side of paper flowers. So I am absolutely sure that you will be able to benefit with my business kit. So going back to our floppy center, so after we fold this way, we're going to glue it meeting all the edges together, like so. So you will end up having this one, like a curl, a straight front and then a curl back. And another benefit also of buying my business kit, you would have a 3-month mentorship uh, directly from me. So again, I'm not saying that you would definitely be able to establish a business like mine. Again, I'm just giving you the tools, but at the same time, it's all up to you. How are you going to use those tools uh, for you to be able to achieve your goal? So yes, you buy the business kit with me, and then you are not willing to do the work. That's what I was wanting to say. So you really cannot expect that the business kit itself would work if you don't put the effort, the time, and patience to yourself to really attain your goal. So again, as I said, I started with $10 investment, and that was the best $10 purchase I've ever made in my entire life. So luckily, even with the pandemic, I also made a decision before, because we used to travel a lot before the pandemic. So I really wanted to set up my business in a way that I really don't have to physically work on it all the time, but just go in there like once in a while, answering messages, even everywhere I am in the world. So I set up it that way, and I diversified my business. Although I was huge in event before the pandemic, but at the same time, I have some online shops that still running even after, even with the pandemic. So if I only rely with the event aspect of the business, I'm one of the dead businesses right now. So again, it's really crucial that you don't put all your eggs in one basket, because when things hit like this pandemic, you really just cannot rely on one stream of income. So diversifying where you are offering your product, it's really one of the thing that I would highly advise to anyone that wanted to dive into a business. So after we glue the second layer this way, we're going to continue wrapping this around in our first layer. So it gives another dimension of texture, and at the same time making our floppy center larger. So if you will, if you are interested in really diving into this business, I would suggest to do it so right now, because I am offering a lower price this January, because January actually is the Crafty Sagittarius anniversary. So on the 11th, it's gonna be my 4 years in this business, and still working to improve every aspects of it. So as you can see, this particular layer added a different dimension of texture into our center. We can even flip this one out so that we can really see the first layer. I wanted to make sure that every layer is emphasized and being showcased. Thank you, Charmaine. You can purchase it from my website, but at the same time, I would suggest to get it from Etsy right now because I have adjusted, just this morning, I adjusted the prices on my Etsy shop. The prices that I have right now in my Etsy, that's only good for the month of January. I'm going to bring it back on February with the usual price. It's normally $149. Right now it's 99.99. So you can absolutely get it, like you can save $50 just by going to my Etsy shop. So this is the second layer. Honestly, I feel like this is more than enough to fill in, you know, a paper flower. But we have this other layer in here that's ready. We're going to use it later. So this is our second layer with the machine cut components. I'm going to give you an alternative on how to do it in just by cutting by hand. So I'm going to use my cutter again. And cut it in half. So you just can easily fold it and you know, cut it with scissors, but I wanted to use this cutter that I have. It's easier for me. So first thing first, with this kind of component that we have in the second layer, the folding of your paper is crucial. So instead of folding it in half, we're not going to fold it in half. We're going to leave the same like, let's see how much this one in centimeter. Like almost a centimeter here, as you can see. So we're gonna do it the same way with our second piece. Okay, and then maybe I should just cut it one piece at a time. So using a roller, we're gonna draw a line, making it sure that we are not going to strip the entire thing and, you know, damage our floppy center. So I made a line here, and you can just use an imaginary line if you are good at it. Well, I'm not. So I have to put a line there, making it sure that, you know, my strips depth would be equal as possible. Although perfection is not guaranteed when you made a line, but at the same time you had a better chance that you'll have a more uniform depth into it. So again, shoot your question, guys, if you have one, even not related to this floppy center. If you have any question about paper flower business, or if you have difficulty in some aspects in making your paper flower, I would you know, you can shoot the message in our comment section below. I'll be happy to answer it for you. So this is the thing about live video. You really cannot rush the process. We all need to be patient, you know, with the time that might take doing the actual cutting. Because sometimes it's easier just to, you know, fast forward or even make a time lapse of doing something. Like a 30-minute video would only end up like 3 minutes if you do the time lapse, but with live it's hard. So again, if you don't have a cutting machine, it's crucial to really have a titanium blade scissors. It would give you a much cleaner cut, and it would also last longer. That's our first piece. Again, sorry for this time consumed by me cutting these components, but that's what it takes when, you know, we go live. There's really, we cannot rush the process. I mean, you can try cutting these two pieces together, but because I already folded it, I was hesitant to cut it together. So I would rather be patient cutting it one piece at a time. So I'm also excited to announce that the Crafty Sagittarius is now, it will be launching very soon a new product line, which is a complete DIY kit. For those who wanted to try, you know, making paper flowers without the hassle of buying all the materials. Materials will all be included. It's pre-cut. The slit is also there, uniformly cut. The center, the base, and all. For those who are not tech savvy, a written and visual tutorial will be included. At the same time, there's gonna be a video tutorial link for you to follow. Or if you are, you know, automatically subscribed to my YouTube channel, you will be seeing that video very soon. So I'm very excited to launch that. It will be available in my new website. It will also be available in my Shopify and my Walmart account and Amazon account. So you can get those DIY complete kit in those platforms. Thank you for your time and patience. It's good to see the process. Well, you know, again, people nowadays, especially, I don't wanna, you know, give a tag to everyone who are acting the same way. But people nowadays are really getting impatient with all instant this and instant that. you know. So I don't want also to give the wrong impression that I did all my business like super super easy, that I didn't have to do all this work. Well, the process would be brutal sometimes, especially if you are not used to it. But eventually, as you practice and practice, this will, and of course, I love creating things. So doing this isn't really a job for me, but it's a pleasure. Actually, it's like if people meditate, I do craft for me to relax. So that's the way how I put it. Thank you, Monica. So again, the same process that we did in the second layer, we're just going to glue this one, the edge together. I want you to be eyes wide open when you jump into this kind of business. It's easy to for everyone to just see the glimpse of like fast videos, making it look like it's super easy. Yes, but when you actually dive into it, it will take patience, it will take time, especially when you are just a beginner. I remember during my first month of operation before, making one single flower would take me like more than an hour. That long. But as I learn my technique, as I able to harness my process, I can able to finish one single flower, cutting, tracing, and assembling for just 15 minutes. So again, by time will give you, time will eventually improve you, the way how you make your product. So be patient with it. It's not all nice and quick. If that's what you are after, this is not the channel for you, because building a business, whatever business, it would really require hard work and effort. Although there are some avenues that you can improve and make it a smarter way, or there's like automation in it, but majority of it, especially when you are just a beginner, you really need to exert some hard work into it. So again, we're just going to continue wrapping these components around our second layer. And one last piece for this. So again, no cutting machine right now, no problem. You can still finish your flower with a floppy center. All you gotta do is be patient. That's the crucial part. And again, even with cutting machine, it's not like you feed your paper there and it will cut quicker. Not necessarily. As a matter of fact, cutting this component in a cutting machine even lasts longer. So the only thing is that you are not using your hand when you have a cutting machine. But the time itself, there's really no big of improvement when you cut it by hand and cut it with a machine. So again, as I said, just like the other, the machine cut floppy center, you can actually use this one right now just by itself. But we're going to add one more layer, one last layer for this one. So we're gonna make a comparison of how our machine cut and then our hand cut floppy center looks like. There's actually really not that much, to be honest. The only thing that that you can visually see that has a huge difference is this center here, because it's finer compared to the hand cut. But you know, this is very much would put your paper flower into a pro level with just this floppy center. So let's attach the final layer. All I'm gonna do right now is just to continue attaching this around our existing center. Again, this is another element with different texture into it. Charmaine, yes, that's true. The hand cut one looks more fluffier. So again, you know, it's not necessarily, you know, having a cutting machine would always give you the best result. Yes, it's convenient that you don't have to cut it by hand, but at the same time, you know, when you are just looking for the looks, there's really not much of a difference with the two. So don't get, you know, intimidated by the fact that you don't have a cutting machine would stop you to create paper flower. I guess 2 pieces of this element is enough. I don't want to overcrowd it. I just wanted to give another extra texture into it. So that's how our center now looks like with the 3rd layer. It's really interesting. We are not going to be able to cut this one by hand, this fine, I mean, especially the tip of the center. But as I said, you know, I'm gonna give you an alternative on how to do that. So first things first, we're gonna cut this sheet of cardstock in half. Again, with my monstrous paper cutter. So I know that this paper is 8.5, so I would eye for 425 and just cut it. That should be the half of it. And I'm going to set aside my cutter again. Let's see. I guess it's too long. I should just aim for 3.5 instead of 4.25. Let's see. Okay, so I guess that's better than having the extra. We don't really need that long. So again, the 3rd layer, I made it as 3.5 width and then 11 inches long. So again, to make a uniform depth as possible, the ruler and the pencil would really be your best friend in here. Like so. So what I'm gonna do right now is to cut like a whisk, a cut whisk. Like almost like an inverted V here. See? and then continue doing the process until you reach at the end. So again, you know, it's not the fancy component that you saw on my first layer, but it's something that is equally beautiful as alternative, you know, just by cutting by hand. Hand cut looks much fluffier. So again, thank you guys for being here in our live demo. I really appreciate it. I know it takes a lot of your time right now, you know, giving the patience of me to finish hand cutting this floppy center. But again, if you are really into paper flower, this is something that most of the crafters doesn't really share. I want you to guys to know that, you know, your success is my success too. I want you to be successful in your paper flower endeavor. Grow our community larger and help other women also achieve what they want. Hi Hyacinth, thank you for joining. Again, it's not necessarily need to be perfect, but just giving an extra texture. As you can see, this is how it's gonna look like. After the cut. So we're almost done here. If you have any question, I would really encourage you guys to shoot it in the comment section below. I'll be happy to answer whatever question you have paper flower related, whether it is the techniques, whether it's in the business side. So, oh, one thing I wanna address also, if you are planning to, you know, dive into paper flower business, I would strongly suggest to secure a name right away. And after you acquire a name for your business, another thing that I would suggest is to secure an email address that would definitely reflect the business that you have. And also, another things that you need to secure is a Facebook page. Nowadays, especially now with the pandemic, people aren't really shopping like before. Like, I remember, you know, before this coronavirus, I even joined some farmers market. I even joined craft shows, event or bridal shows. However, with what's going on right now, your product exposure, if that's what you are, that's the only avenue that you are relying into, your business is dying before it even started. So I would suggest that get into Facebook, offer your product into Facebook market, because, you know, I love Instagram. I do love my followers in Instagram too. I have more than 100,000 there. But at the same time, whether we like it or not, you know, most of the people are more into Facebook than Instagram. So it's hard to ignore the fact that there are lots of users in Instagram at the same in Facebook, I meant. And at the same time, you know, Facebook has Facebook Market where you can really target your local people to offer your paper flowers. You know, it's not like unless you are offering a digital product, you can go to Instagram. But if you are offering like pre-made, ready-made paper flower decor, I would strongly suggest to offer it in your locality. One advantage of that is that you can definitely save with the shipping. Shipping nowadays is ridiculous. There was one time that's like just last month, I shipped boxes of flowers to a client. So right now I'm here in New York and I just ship it in Massachusetts. You know how much I paid for one box of 20 by 20 by 20 box of very light flower? I paid $53. So shipping nowadays is ridiculous. So I would suggest, if you are going to, especially when you are a beginner, if you're going to offer your flowers, I would suggest to do it in Facebook Market, targeting your locality. Because that way, it's either they are going to pick up the flowers, or you can just drive by, save money to, you know, than shipping. Compared to shipping, shipping is just ridiculous. Before it was only like 30 plus. I don't know if it was because it's December, but definitely it would hurt small business owners when the price of shipping is that high. I was even aching when I was in post office. I ship it through USPS, and I check it before I even go there. With FedEx and UPS website, it's even worse than those two. So USPS for small business owners, that's the cheapest you can get with the shipping. But at the same time, it's still really painful, you know, to have the shipping cost if you can offer it in your locality. So again, when you first, as a newbie in paper flower business, I would suggest to create firsthand, make an email address, and then second thing, secure a Facebook business page. Third, if you know how to make a website, or if you have, but I really don't suggest right away going to creating on your own website. You know why? Because playing with SEO itself is a job itself. Like, you cannot expect people, just because you have a website going on and live, people will be flocking on you. No. Especially with how fluid the SEO and the way how Google or any search engine do their searching changes like every 5 seconds. So it's really hard to, you know, rely on, or especially when you're a beginner, to right away go to your aim to make your own website. I would suggest go to platforms like Etsy, because Etsy, although you have so many competitions, people will say it's saturated, but just as of 2019, Etsy has more than 10 million users and growing. So you cannot ignore the fact that they really have a ready audience for you. So you don't really have to, you know, pay for Google ads to show your website to anyone who doesn't even know you exist. Charmaine, I have seen some paper flowers where the ends are different color. How do you customize your paper flowers with multiple colors? Actually, Charmaine, I have a tutorial in my YouTube channel. It's called the dual layer template. Or you can also try like using a colored marker and just lay out your edges of your petal before you even assembling it. So those are the techniques that you can use. You're welcome, Monica. Happy to help. So now that we finish our final layer of our floppy center, we're just going to continue wrapping this around on our hand cut floppy center. So again, it doesn't have the same tip as our machine cut, but at the same time, it definitely gives extra layer of texture into your floppy center. Gluing it together, it's the easiest part, but cutting it is the most grueling avenue in making this floppy center. So you can leave it this way, or you can even curl it inward, or outward, whichever you prefer. So I prefer it curling inward and then push it downward. See, and then you can just push the base part downward to make it fluffier. So again, this is an alternative for a fluffy center without using cutting machine. This is just all hand cut. Here you go. So this is our hand cut floppy center and our machine cut. So which one would you prefer? So again, thank you guys for joining me in this live. That's actually one of my New Year's resolution, is to give more live video on how to, like, techniques, whether you have the machine or not, to easily make your paper flowers look more beautiful. So thank you so much. If you guys don't have any question left, I'll say goodbye for now. It's almost lunchtime. I have to prepare some lunch too. So see you guys next time. Bye.